I apologize for starting the meeting a little late. The treasurer and I have not been able to connect before now. Let's start the meeting of the Parkside Borough Council for November. If everyone would please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Roll call.
Okay. Mr. Sidlow?
Here.
Madam President?
Here.
Mr. Costigan?
Here.
Ms. Percival?
Here.
Mr. Powers?
Here.
Mr. Swagger?
Here.
Madam Treasurer?
Here.
Mr. Engineer?
Here.
Mr. Musso?
Here.
Ms. Maha?
Here.
Ms. Brianna?
Here.
And Mr. Daniel?
Step down. Okay.
And Chief.
The mayor said that she will not be.
The mayor is not in attendance. She's
She's
feeling
not
ill.
feeling well. And have we heard from Mr. Bull?
Mr. Bull is on vacation.
Okay. Okay. Has everyone been able to look at the minutes? I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Are there any questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Thank you. Is there any correspondence?
Yes. Ed Fisher from Tax Collector, October 18th, 2022 to November 15th, 2022. Good evening. Treasurer has received $1,132,417.56. There was $1,734.11 in revenue deposited from October 18th till November 15th, 2022 at Fisher Tax Collector. Parkside Fire Company. Dear council members, please note our appreciation of our third quarter payment that we've received in October. These payments are vital to the firehouse and are received with much appreciation. July through September financial reporting is as follows. We deposited $32,917.98 into the general accounting fund, including the second quarter borough payment in the amount of $32,500, which was deposited on 7/15/2022. During this time, the expenses in the amount of $25,678.96 were spent. Vehicle registration was $127.50. Trash was $598.43. Fuel was $1,916.87. Building maintenance was $2,828, plus a repair of a water heater was $4,209.38. Fire equipment and supplies is $4,702. Insurance is $8,651.82. Training is $351.41. Utilities was $1,1200. Cable was $400. The telephone was $200, and miscellaneous was $417.11. Beginning balance as of July 1st of 2022 was $24,628.05. The ending balance as of September 30th was $31,856.07. Submitted thankfully by the Parkside Fire Company. And I have one more. I have the code enforcement for November 2022. Persons living in a garage were unfounded, and squatters have been removed from property. End of report for code enforcement. Thank you.
And make sure to attach that to the minutes.
Yes.
I'm very pleased to see the fire company giving a more detailed report than they have given in the past.
It's more than we've gotten, yes.
Yes, that's the most we've gotten so far.
We'll skip the mayor's report because she's not here
The
unless she.
chief is going to actually meet the,
I can.
Oh,
read the report.
please.
yes. the
Yes,
chief's gonna
sorry,
read
thank
that.
you.
So for the month of October, we had 2 crimes reported in the borough: a disorderly conduct and an unauthorized use of motor vehicle. Arrests were made in both cases. We had 97 calls for service. The most prevalent calls, medical emergencies, we had 9 assists, 11. We had 9 domestics. We had no accidents during the month. We conducted 24 traffic details, made 21 motor vehicle stops, issued 18 traffic citations and 3 warnings for the month.
Thank you very much.
Can we go back to that fire company report? What was the date? They were using dates from July. That was July to when?
We had received a payment, the borough had paid them the second installment. Sorry. give me one
Sorry, you
second.
put it away already. I apologize.
And I can give you a copy. We had given them a second quarter payment. The borough paid $32,500.
Right.
He's stating that what was spent in that period was $25,678.96.
And the period ended
I think it was the second quarter,
second.
September,
so July to, or no, I'm sorry.
third quarter.
Right, from second quarter to third quarter.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, next on our agenda is call to citizens for agenda-related items only, if anyone would like to share. It might be a quick meeting. Okay, for the president's report, I really do not have much. I am grateful to everybody who participated in the Halloween walk. I thought that was a lot of fun. I saw a lot of happy families there and people saying that they were grateful for such an event. And we've got the budget to go through in a little bit, although Doug's not gonna be here, huh? Okay. So I'll save anything budget related for that, and that is all I have. Everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving. It's the best day of the year. Friends and family, football, and food. Can't lose. And next up is Doug.
Excuse me,
Yes, sir.
questions to the president? You gave out at the budget meeting a proposal from Commonwealth Code Enforcers. Could you please tell me who contacted this company? Who was involved in the meeting on December 14th, 2021? Because I was president of council then, I was not involved, nor did I know anything about it.
I'll answer it.
Thank
you. So, there was a period of transition between the election in November and the reorganization meeting. Thank you for giving me the proper term. And during that period of time, the majority members of council reviewed met with many different groups to try to figure out how to run the borough. We met with solicitors, treasurers, code enforcement agencies, individual potential code enforcement officers, and we decided not to make any changes in the code department at the transition time, although that certainly could have been done. Yeah, that's the answer to the question.
No, it doesn't, but your transition period, you were not the majority on December 14th when you met with this company and did not give any other members a chance to discuss this. So what I've done, and I have copies of council, excuse me a minute.
Okay.
What I've done, I've looked into this company, and I wanted to note, I have copies of this information if anybody on council would like to have it. Their hearings and court fees are additional fees. The proposal is standard language.
whatever they cost, it doesn't matter because we're not doing any business with them, nor are we considering them for business at this point in time.
May I finish just with 2 points, please?
Sure, you're gonna make a point about how things are super expensive and that it's a bad idea to use this firm, but it's not, you're not, it's not an issue on the table.
I would love the data you have.
Thank you. My concern only, I'd like to point out, after reviewing this company, that there are several points. The proposal indicated that the code department shall be self-supporting. However, it also says that the office or the secretary will send out all notices. And my question would be, how much time would our secretary have to put into this? I'd like to point out that they compared their proposal to Alden Borough. Alden Borough in 2021 budgeted $52,000 for their code officer. In 2022, they budgeted $86,000 for this company. I won't go into the other points, and I do have copies if council wants them. I don't have Alden's 2023 budget to see how much of an increase they have gotten because they meet the same time we do. But that was a question I had concerning this company that the proposal was handed out. And also, real quick, an email was sent concerning Aston, Radnor, and Haverford Township and their various codes and their permit fees. One thing I would like to propose after going through these 3 individual townships, of course, not only do they have more revenue coming in and more population, but I found it was interesting that some of our local communities, and I'd like to propose this to council, give senior citizens a 50% discount for a one-time permit per year. And I think with the economy, I think our seniors would greatly appreciate any type of discount. And I'd like council's thoughts on that.
Is that when you say one time,
Mhm.
is that they get it for one permit or they get one permit that covers them for anything that they use?
What the local municipalities have done is if the senior wants to put a roof on,
Mhm.
then that's a one-time only. But if a senior comes in and says, I'd like to put on a roof, I'm going to add a sidewalk, I need to get siding, so it's whatever they entail in that permit, they could do a 50% discount for that one permit per year. So that next year, if they do another job, then they would get again another 50% discount. And I think it's a great idea for our seniors to do something like that.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
I agree. I appreciate you bringing it to us. I would also like to explore other ways that we could bring down our permit fees for all of our residents as well.
Well, it's a good start for our seniors. Thank you.
Thank you. So finance report, it's got a lot of stuff to do on here. So, has everyone had a chance to look at the finances? We just received them, so I apologize. We're gonna take a couple minutes. Sorry.
I thought we got.
I reviewed it a few hours ago.
Did you get it? Oh, you got an email. I just haven't seen it printed out. I can't do stuff on email. All right, let me just go down here. All right, so, go ahead, what?
Go ahead, you go.
I was just gonna say, I'll accept the motion. to pay the bills.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Thank you. We're missing people, you can tell. Are there any questions?
Are any council members receiving
Um,
anything other than a reimbursement in the?
I just have reimbursements. Do I have to announce that I'm being reimbursed?
Not a reimbursement.
Not a reimbursement, well, but it's
Good practice. I
it's
guess.
good practice. I mean, you've expended funds on behalf of the borough then, and you're just getting
Yeah,
reimbursed.
so I'm being reimbursed, let me get the exact numbers. $1,523.54 for the Betty's bounces for Community Day. $330.19 for the Chick-fil-A sandwiches at Community Day. and $91.09 for the drinks at Community Day. So they're all Community Day reimbursements.
Okay, that's fine. I appreciate the clarification. I would say that not really your pecuniary benefit because you're just being made whole from something you've already spent.
Yeah, but just in the interest of transparency.
Appreciate it. Okay. Are there any questions, any other questions about the bills? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. And motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
I'm gonna bang the gavel to wake y'all up. Um,
This is
Are
good.
there
We're
any
making up
questions?
for lost time.
What's that?
We're making up for lost time.
Are there any questions about the financial reports? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved, thank you. And we have on here a motion to advertise the 2023 council meetings.
I just have a question. I know we've used the Spirit at times, and we've also used the Daily Times. I was just curious if there was a particular reason for using the Daily Times versus the Spirit.
Tamika, I think you did some research on that, right?
It's the Spirit, like, the Spirit only comes out like the Wednesday before, and it's not available long enough for the public to see
Okay,
for this particular issue.
I see.
So at this point, we can't use the Spirit. We got to use the Daily Times, so it's a little bit longer
Gotcha.
for the paper to be circulated.
Makes sense. Thank you.
And we had $5,000 in our budget for advertising, and we've only used a portion of that.
Oh, really? We have $5,000 to advertise?
Yeah.
Oh, but advertising is real expensive, and depending on what you have to advertise, when we start getting
And I think there was one in the
it can
last,
go real quick.
$1,300
Yeah,
for the last
that's what I
one.
thought. So,
Right, but we haven't done a lot of it, so it hasn't,
no,
we've not even come close to our budgeted amount. All right, so I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to advertise next year's budget meetings.
second.
Those are council meetings, not. Council meetings, sorry.
Yeah,
Council
council meetings. All right. All in favor? Any
Aye.
questions? No?
Aye.
Okay, all in favor, aye. All opposed? Moving on. So motion to advertise 2023 preliminary budget. I did want to have some discussion about that before we did that, just because I talked to you. We were originally,
So if I may, I
Okay.
have a motion and a second, and then you can have the discussion.
oh, okay. All right, that's fine. Good, thank you. So I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, questions, comments, I can start. I had originally been sent the budget, and Donna had said that we were going to, let's see, I have it here. Take it from 7.9 mils to 8.532, which is an increase of 0.632 mils. But then this second version of this, it's now saying 8.9. And so I'm trying to figure out, the 7.532, or this 8.532 is the one.
Yeah, unfortunately, when I discussed it with Donna, she had indicated that based on the budget, it would be a 1 mil increase to 8.9. I'm not sure if that first ordinance was a typo. I'd have to go back and find out.
It isn't, because it reflects the same thing that she said in her email, which was that we were gonna bring it from 7.9 to 8.53.
Yeah, I don't know. And she had told me it was gonna go up 1 mil to 8.9, and that most of it was because there was no increase to the trash fees, and that we had not done a tax increase last year, and we're gonna add 2 additional police officers. So that was my discussion with her. Unfortunately, I was not present at the budget meeting, so I don't really know the details. And she's on a flight home from
Yeah, I know,
Las
it's not
Vegas.
convenient. I'm looking at the budget I had that she sent to me, to all of us, I believe. And she has the taxes going up by 68,281. Right?
Yeah, no, the other part of that is we didn't really have the assessed value from the county yet too.
Mhm.
That information was, I believe, being released yesterday. And, I don't know, I guess, I don't really know whether the value for Parkside went up or stayed the same. I think there were certain assumptions made when they did the budget, to,
Well, it's unfortunate that I haven't been able to talk to her about this, but,
The best thing we can do is advertise the preliminary budget, have it on display at the set mill of 1 mil increase.
okay,
And that way, we have time to pass the final budget in December. So that if we make a motion to advertise, at least we've started the ball rolling. If there's a decrease, that's wonderful.
okay. All right,
Hopefully,
thank you.
there's no more increase.
I appreciate that option, because I really wasn't sure with not having access to Donna, and I understand she's
And it
traveling.
looks like it's a 1 mil increase, which is basically $100 per every 100,000 assessment value of your home. And you can find, for the public, you can find your assessed value on your last tax bill. And that'll show you what your assessment is.
It's over 10% though, it's a lot.
Well, we're adding 2 full-time officers, and that's where the increase was going.
That is where the
And, I
majority,
mean, if you look at it, if it wasn't for those full-time officers, we wouldn't need to raise taxes because those salaries are a lot less than the 1 mil that we need to raise it by.
Plus, we also need to keep a certain balance in there according to the law, so that we have a surplus in case of emergencies. And that's just not something we do, it's a set law that
I
we
understand,
must.
I understand that there's
Let's do it.
we're supposed to be within a certain level.
That's correct.
Did you find out for me what our balance sheet balance is?
I can tell you what the balances are as of right now.
Okay,
I mean, it's in the report. So the cash, according to what would be in the general ledger, in TD Bank, we have $229,501. In the Sharon Bank account, we have $635,744. They are the two general fund accounts.
okay. All right.
So in that amount, though, I believe is your COVID money as well, which
Yes.
you were kind of putting aside for infrastructure repair. So it would be
Right.
about 240,000 of, I guess what the, 865,000 roughly is what you have in general fund between those two accounts right now. But included in
Including
that is
COVID
the
money.
240 COVID money. So if you want to take that out of the mix, you know, and then I just did some quick calculations. I mean, on average, it's like your monthly expenditures are like $106,000. So, you know, that it looks like we've almost collected all the tax money that we're going to collect.
Right,
So we're still going to have,
now we just have to deal with expenses until the tax money starts rolling in.
right,
I
so,
understand.
you know, if you want to have at least 2 months worth of expenses on hand. I mean, running the municipality is just like running your household. You need a contingency fund, and you don't want to factor that contingency fund into your daily expenses. You'll want to save it in case there were an emergency. So, you know, but everything comes with a cost associated with it, a trade-off.
All right, well, it appears for now that we can pass the preliminary budget and then do any tweaking that we need to in between. I'm pleased to hear that. So, are there any,
We're advertising them, we're not passing.
this is
Right.
just to advertise now. So are there any other questions about advertising?
Yes. We're to read the expenditure and the revenue amount tonight and pass a preliminary and advertise. The final budget in December between now and December can be tweaked and then we read the expenditures and the revenues then, again, and state the millage. So it is required that we read the expenditures and the revenue from our budget.
All right, our anticipated revenue, according to our budget, is $1,945,364. And I believe our expenses are the same, right?
Yeah, we have a zero balance difference.
Yep, so the expenditures are budgeted as the same. Slightly different, so $1,945,363.
I sent an email with some budget estimates for street lighting. Did that get added in?
So that would be in the liquid fuels budget, which basically, we just carried the money forward, that's in the account to next year. So, that we could factor in, you're talking about the street lighting
Street
program?
lighting program, yeah.
Yeah, we could factor that in, and we could talk about different ways to, handle that, whether you wanted to pay it outright with your current balance of liquid fuels money, or whether you wanted to apply for a loan and then use the proceeds to pay for it, but use the liquid fuels account to fund the repayment of the loan. There's a couple of different ways you can do it. And Mike Fuller, the gentleman that you're working with, is extremely knowledgeable. We've worked with him on another project, similar project for another municipality. And that is very similar in size to Parkside. And we were able through the county to obtain a loan, and a piece of it is it's a 7-year repayment plan. Some of it refunded from liquid fuels and a little bit from the general fund, but we can work that into the liquid fuels budget.
Okay. That's what I thought,
Yeah.
yes. Thank
But the difference, and I think that can be discussed under.
Well, I did not really put this in as for a motion. We can have a discussion on it, but it's not really a motion.
Okay.
So, can we just talk about it now instead of
We
getting
have a
into?
motion on the floor.
We do,
Oh, sorry,
we
okay.
do. Is there any more questions about advertising the budget? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved, thank you. Yeah, we'll get to yours and we'll get to it in your section. We have 2 more ordinances in front of us, and I'm gonna go ahead and let you read the one that has the 1 mil increase, even though I have 2 different ones here. We'll go with that one for now, and if we have to change it, can we change it?
Absolutely. What you're doing is when you increase taxes, you're required to pass that by ordinance. And so this is proposed ordinance 582, an ordinance of the Borough of Parkside, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, fixing the tax rates for the year of 2023. Be it enacted and ordained, and it is hereby enacted and ordained by the Council of the Borough of Parkside, County of Delaware, Pennsylvania, that tax be, and the same is hereby levied on all property within the Borough of Parkside, subject to taxation for the fiscal year 2023 as follows. Tax rate for general purposes, the sum of 8.9 mils on each dollar of an assessed evaluation. That all taxpayers subject to the payment of taxes assessed and imposed by the Borough of Parkside shall be entitled to a discount of 2% from the amount of such tax upon making a payment of the whole amount within 2 months after the date of the tax notice. That all taxpayers who shall fail to make payment to the borough taxes for a period of 4 months after the date of the tax notice shall be charged a penalty of 10%, which penalty shall be added to the taxes by the tax collector and shall be collected by the tax collector. If the real estate transfer tax of 0.5% shall be reenacted for the fiscal year of 2023, that the earned income tax of one amount of 0.5% on the gross income of each wage earner residing in the borough of Parkside, on the net profits earned by each person, corporation, business, or partnership in the borough of Parkside shall be reenacted for the fiscal year 2023. and that an ordinance or part thereof in conflict with this ordinance is hereby repealed to the extent that same conflict with this ordinance, basically last year's tax ordinance. And that an estimate of specific items making up the amounts appropriated to the respective department is on file in the borough office here in the Parkside Municipal Building at 222 East Elvin Road, and may be inspected during regular business hours. So we'll advertise that with the budget as well, since it's an ordinance. But again, you could tweak it at the December meeting. And certainly tweaking it down is no problem whatsoever.
Okay, so
And then we
I
have-
need a motion, or do you want to read that
Yeah,
one?
let's do ordinance 583. An ordinance to the Borough of Parkside establishing the 2023 annual fee for rubbish collection at $360 for single-family and two-family dwelling, be it enacted or ordained by the Council of the Borough of Parkside. The fees for the collection and disposal of rubbish placed for collection at ground level and not more than 10 feet distant from the side of the street or the alley from which the collection is to be made is as follows. For single or two-family houses, $360 per year, beginning January 1st, 2023. The above rate shall be designated on the annual tax bill sent out February 1st by the borough tax collector, and it's due on May 31st. A penalty of 20% will be added to all rubbish collection charges paid after May 31st of the current year. Interest rate of 9% per annum will be imposed on all rubbish fees paid after December 31st of the current year. A fee of $75 shall be added as an attorney fee for the filing of any municipal lien. A fee of $75 shall be added as an attorney fee for the satisfaction of any municipal lien, which will be added to the amount of delinquencies. And attorney's fees are hereby assessed at the rate of $150 per hour for the collection of delinquent municipal claims, which necessitate legal proceedings. Failure to receive a bill will not exempt the owner from the rubbish fee. And all accounts will be considered delinquent if not paid by the 15th of December for the year of the services which is rendered. All delinquent accounts are subject to the stoppage of service without notice. The stoppage of service herein before authorized for non-payment of trash collection shall be in addition to the right of the borough to proceed with the collection of such unpaid charges by enacting a sunset or at the election of borough in any other manner provided by the law for the collection of the municipal claim. So we will advertise upon approval. We'll make sure both get advertised and they can be adjusted.
Thank you so much. I'll
I'll make a motion to advertise ordinances 582 and 583.
Can we vote them together?
Yes.
All right.
Second.
All those in favor? Any questions? Questions?
Question on the motion, both dates of enactment are wrong.
Okay.
If we can have that corrected to be enacted for our December 22nd meeting,
Okay.
please.
Is it the 23rd?
It's the, well, the one is 2021 at the 582 at the bottom says 2021.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
The dates are wrong on both of them.
But the meeting will be December 21st, 2022.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go. All right. Any other questions before we vote? All in favor of advertising these ordinances?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. And now for Doug Bull with the open space. report.
I just have one thing under finances.
Okay.
I didn't have a chance, I forgot to add it to the agenda, but in the budget meeting, we discussed, the pay of council members and the mayor, and I feel that, as council members, I don't think it's appropriate to ask for residents to pay more in taxes when we're not losing anything either. So I personally would like to see the council members' pay be reduced to zero, and the mayor, if the council would agree to that. But I just think that it would send a message to the community that we understand that it's a difficult financial time and we don't want to raise taxes, but unfortunately, given our police department and the needs for additional officers, we need to raise taxes, but I feel like that would send a message to the community. Unfortunately, the borough code, you can't change the pay of council until after their term is ended, if that's correct. So it wouldn't take place until the current terms are over, but I still think it would be a good message to the community. So I would like to make a motion to add that to the agenda, that we reduce council and mayor pay to zero at the completion of the current terms.
A second?
Second.
I agree. My opinion, I've said before, this isn't about the money. And I do know when I went to training that I was told by quite a few boroughs that we were getting higher than a lot of them. So.
Yeah, we do get the maximum that you can get.
We do get the maximum, and the council did begin receiving the maximum as soon as it was legal to receive the maximum. So I would be in favor. In the meantime, is there any other questions about the motion? To add it to the agenda, I guess, right?
Right.
That's where we are. All right, all those in favor of adding it to the agenda? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's now on the agenda, and now we will consider the motion.
Right.
I'll entertain.
I'll make the motion to reduce the salaries of mayor and council to zero.
Okay.
So if it's in the ordinances, doesn't it have to be an ordinance? Can it just be a,
Is it a resolution or would it have to be an ordinance that has to be advertised?
How is your pay set now? Is it
By
by
resolution.
resolution, probably?
All right, so this would be something we need to put on the next agenda? Is
No, if
that-
it's a resolution, I mean,
We'd probably be best to have a drafted resolution to actually vote on.
sure, so why don't you vote on authorizing
Yeah.
us to draft up a resolution?
For
And
the
as
next meeting.
the councilman said, this is nothing that'll impact next year. It can't go into effect until the terms that are established at next year's municipal. So this won't go into effect until January of 2024.
Right, after
Right,
the election.
Right, so fine, so the motion should be to authorize us to draft up a resolution for consideration.
so it would go into effect for the 3 positions that are re-elected or
I think
elected next year, and then it would wait 3 more years.
I'd have to.
2
look
more
at it.
years.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I'm not either, but
I think it all changes at once. It just has to be after the election year.
we'll have an answer
No,
on
it's
that.
by term.
By term.
By term?
We typically,
That's fine.
these kinds of things.
Well, I'll entertain that motion.
So I'll make a motion to authorize the solicitor to draft a resolution reducing salary for mayor and council to zero.
Second? Thank you. All those in favor of authorizing our solicitor to draft this resolution?
Aye.
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 Should we take a roll call vote? Take a roll call vote for me, Tamika.
Mr. Sidlow?
Aye.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Mr. Swigert?
Yes.
Mr. Costigan?
Yes.
Madam President?
Yes.
Ms. Percival?
No.
Okay, so moved. Thank you very much. Please draft that resolution for next month's meeting. Tamika, please make sure that's on the agenda for next month. Okay, we will skip the open space.
Yeah, and he reported to me that it was general progress.
Okay,
For open
general
space.
progress, thank you. Mr. Costigan, does your junior council have any?
I don't think that they want to say anything unless you do? Okay,
Go for it.
okay.
During the Halloween walk, we helped out decorating the path and lighting candles. Then we also had the pleasure of making scarecrows that represent ourselves, and it was a fun thing to do. And it was just overall fun to be involved with the recreation committee.
Thank you. There you go.
So I'm very impressed. They were. So I want to thank Brianna and Daniel for making the scarecrows for the walk and for being there, helping out. And those will live on for posterity. I have Brianna's in my garage. Daniel's, we'll make sure we get yours back for next year. So they're not going anywhere. So that's all I have for junior council. We're continuing to meet and figure out things that they want to do with their time at the junior council, with the different committees, and they're just learning, how local government works. So we're continuing that work as well. For recreation, I want to thank everybody for coming to the pond walk at the Woodlot. We had a lot of people come out for that. I want to thank, of course, our volunteers that worked tirelessly to put that together, especially Dina Sweeney, who is here for all of her work, and her husband, Mike, and her son as well. They really make a great event for our town.
Thank you for sharing your talents.
Yes. It would be a mess if I tried to, so I'm grateful. We're having our holiday party on Sunday, December 10th. No. Yeah. December 4th, from 2 to 4 p.m. in the fire hall. And then we'll have different games and activities and food for people there. And our tree lighting will be the same day, December 4th, and that's at 6 p.m. at the West Cole Memorial. And we'll have some hot chocolate and Christmas carols and things like that, maybe stories as well. So it should be a good time. And our next meeting for recreation is December 7th at 6:30 in the Borough Hall. And we'll be planning our events for next year.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Next year, after each of the events, could you give a updated total on what recreation is spending?
Yes.
That would be a running total so we can all keep track of that.
Yes, I'd be happy to do that.
Thank you.
For police and public safety, so we are beginning the process of restarting our civil service commission that we had before. So we are implementing the civil service commission. We're in the process of that, which we need to hire additional officers at this point because the borough code allows boroughs to hire 2 full-time officers without the civil service commission. But beyond that, you need a civil service commission to do all the hiring. So we're planning for 2 additional officers for next year. So we need to put that commission together before we can start that hiring process. So I guess we'll start with the discussion of the civil service commission or any council members who have anything to say. We did advertise an ordinance to adopt the civil service commission. So that we will be voting on that in a few minutes. And if once that passes, then we can actually form the commission with members. And then once we select those members, they can start the hiring process. So I'll open it up to the council.
How many members?
For the commission?
Yes.
So there are 3 commissioners. They're normally 6-year terms, but when you first start the commission, to stagger the terms a little bit, one is a 6-year term, one is a 4-year term, and one is a 2-year term.
Okay.
Have you selected an attorney, special counsel yet?
So I've been doing research. It seems that it should really be the commission that kind of, the commission should at least have input in that decision. So I have names of different solicitors that we would certainly interview. And I think that the people on the commission should have a say in the solicitor that they're working with. So, and I know those names of solicitors you gave me will definitely be offered an opportunity.
They have the experience.
Yeah.
Any other questions about the Civil Service Commission? Would you like to make a motion?
Sure. So I will make and I guess is this number 584? So I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number 584 which is an ordinance creating the Civil Service Commission.
Does it need to be read?
It does not.
Does not need to be read.
I mean, it's
Doesn't need to be read.
been advertised. Essentially, you're establishing the commission, there's 3 people. Like the councilman said, 2, 4, and 6-year terms. You can also appoint up to 3 alternates, which we recommend because you need to have 3 members to make a quorum. And I think the rest is just the powers that you make up, which have been advertised.
Excellent, okay. So, you made the motion, did someone second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Any questions before we vote? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved, thank you. Are you done, Mr. Costa?
Well, now that we have created the Civil Service Commission, the borough will be looking for 3 candidates and alternate candidates to serve on the commission. So anybody who's interested in being on the Civil Service Commission, and I can describe a little bit of what that is like. So basically, the commission conducts the interview process of the police officer candidates, would recommend officers that would be hired by the council, and then any kind of hearings for police officers relating to suspension or anything like that, the commission would handle as well. So if you'd be interested in doing that kind of work, please submit a letter of interest to the borough, either on paper or it could be emailed to office@parksideborough.com. And the deadline for that would be November 28th. So that's,
Yikes.
well, we have to get moving on this. So,
Let's get the word out. Can you give something to Theo?
yeah, no, I have something ready to go
Good,
for
good.
the website and social
Good.
media and things like that. But, so if you're interested, please submit that letter of interest. And the police committee will work on interviewing candidates from there to serve on the commission. And then in the December meeting, the council will vote to appoint the 3 commissioners. And then from there, they will hopefully into next year start the hiring process. And hire a solicitor and adopt the rules and things like that.
What kind of a time commitment are the citizens looking at?
Well, I mean, it kind of depends. I mean, it would be a lot at the beginning because we're hiring 2 officers. So, I mean, the chief probably has a better answer, but I think it just depends on when we're hiring officers and if there's any kind of hearings that they need to have. But you probably have more knowledge.
Well, I've been here for almost 3 years and we haven't had any disciplinary issues, so that's not a significant problem that we have in the borough. So from that standpoint, I don't think you're going to have much of an issue. The time commitment will be sporadic in that it's really necessary when we hire, when we go through the process. After that, there's very little, if anything, for them to do. You know, I think the law requires them to meet once a year, just as a formality, you know, to review whatever and, you know, and give a brief report on their activities for the previous year. But other than that, the lion's share of the work is when we go through the hiring process. And, you know, I've been through it many, many times in my career. You know, I can do it with my eyes closed. You know, I'll work with the Civil Service Commission to make sure that, you know, we stay in lockstep and get things done.
Let me add, we have to hire a solicitor for the Civil Service Commission
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
Yep, we covered that.
So again, if you're interested in serving on this commission where we would be hiring the police officers, if any disciplinary issues would rise, dealing with that. If you're interested in that, submit your letter of interest to the borough secretary or email it to office@parksideborough.com by November 28th. And just under police committee, I want to thank all of our officers for stepping up. We had an injury, and the officers have stepped up to try to fill that gap. And I want to especially thank Officer Young, who I've seen a couple times at the different events. He's a full-time officer in another department, and from my understanding, he works about on an average 3 shifts a week here, and also weekends when he's available. So it's amazing the dedication that our officers have, and I'm grateful to them. And hopefully we get them the support that they need to take time off to rest and recuperate.
Is that the officer that was at the Halloween walk?
Yes, yeah.
What's his first name?
Charlie, Officer Charlie. Yeah.
I never knew his last name. He's a hoot.
Yeah.
He is.
So that's all I have to report for police and public safety.
Thank you, Michael. And Scott, you're up.
Okay. So the ordinance review committee continues to meet. And, you know, what we've noticed as we compare our borough ordinances to some of the other municipalities is that they have fees and schedules and even salaries and hourly wages that are passed in a every year as part of a and not an ordinance, as part of a resolution, right? Whereas our permit fees and our salaries and everything like that is all written into ordinances. And it doesn't create for flexibility. It creates for violations of the ordinance. So for example, President Guy shared with me that the ordinance for the fire marshal says $3,500 a year. But we have, our fire marshal is budgeted at $10,000 this year and is in the process of being paid $10,000 this year. So we're violating our own ordinances by having all of the fees and the structures in the ordinance. So what we are trying to do is to figure out what should be pulled out of ordinance and put into an annual resolution that we pass in terms of both fee structure for the residents to pay for permits and inspections and everything like that, as well as salaries, hourly wages, how much the inspector gets per inspection, or and those kinds of things. So I have tried to do this over the course of my regular schedule and have not been able to. We've discussed it and we have some templates that we want to use as structure, but I haven't been able to sit down or have a group of people sit down and write it for one day. So I took off the day after Thanksgiving weekend from my job, and I plan on spending the day trying to figure out how to restructure and reorganize our fee structure for payments and expenses of the of all enforcements.
I've seen it in other
Yeah, this is
codes that they'll say refer to schedule.
right. And most of them, Brookhaven, Aston, they all, it's very easy to find on their website. Click on this button and you'll get to all the fees. Aston has a 28-page document with every fee that is required.
But is that still, sorry, Jim, is that still an ordinance or is that a resolution? Mr. Musa, can you switch that from ordinance to
You
resolution?
can, we have other clients that their ordinance says fees to be established, as resolution by council.
Okay.
So,
We've done it by resolution.
but it's in the ordinances.
So the
So,
ordinances don't match the resolution.
That's correct. In
So,
some instances,
I think it-
but we have done it by resolution.
Yeah, but I think it probably makes sense to just say, find it in the resolution so that you don't have to keep amending the ordinances, which is
That's correct.
expensive.
Cuts down on advertising.
Yeah.
It actually is in an ordinance if you look it up.
So,
I should say salary, not my salary.
so that's what we're working on. I will also say that I had 2 experiences this month where residents complained to me about permit fees being high. I was in Lowe's and I ran into Todd and Kim Harper, and I knew they had put on a new deck, and I said, "How's your new deck going?" She said, "We love it very much, but I got to tell you, the permit fees were so high on that project." Okay. And then on election day, there was a voter who, and I'm really sure, don't recall really how the interaction started, but he made a complaint as he was getting into his car that the borough fees were too high. And then he rattled off a couple of permits that he had and how much he paid in those. And Tamika helped me out very much by researching those payments. And for example, one of the jobs he had done was replace 11 windows. Now, I don't want to. The homeowner chose to make a purchase of $19,000 for 11 windows, which seems like $1,700 a window seems a little high. But the borough still received $1,000, which was, the 5% for inspection fees. So 11 windows was an inspection fee of $1,000. So that seems unfair from our perspective. We can't handle how the contractor charged the customer, but it should not take $1,000 worth of cost to the homeowner to have 11 windows inspected. So this again is part of what I want to try to write up is that, for the first 3 windows, it's X dollars. And for every window thereafter, or every 3 windows thereafter, it's X dollars. Like, try to come up with some kind of pricing structure that factors in travel time. The first 15 minutes of every inspection should be considered travel, even though it doesn't take 15 minutes to get anywhere in Parkside. But we need to kind of structure fees in a different way. So that's where my head is with ordinances, and then we'll be discussing the draft that I prepared at the ordinance meeting on Tuesday, December 6th at 7:00. Welcome anybody to come to that meeting. And the other ordinances that we've already drafted, the Parks and Recreation ordinance and the soliciting ordinance that we've looked at, we're going to bring that forward at the beginning of the year. We'll bring those together as a lot so that we can have one advertisement out at the same time. Okay?
Mr. Sidlow, I was involved in that conversation on election day,
Yes.
the rather loud conversation.
Well, it was quiet when I was trying to speak to him in his car. You were screaming from the election hall, but.
Well, I don't think I was screaming, but the gentleman was. But my point is that this would be a prime example. I believe he was a senior or over 65, that his permit fee would have been half of that amount if we could work on giving our seniors a discount.
We can see what we can do to include that in the fee structure.
Super, thank
As
you.
we're creating it. There were 12 license inspections report. There were 12 building permits, 5 plumbing permits, 1 electrical, 3 use and occupancy, and 1 reinspection. So in terms of just an update on the streetlight program is I had I had 2 phone meetings with, well, I guess one was Zoom and one was phone with Michael Fuller. He's the lighting engineer from the Regional Planning Commission. I forgot his company name. Keystone Lighting Solutions, thank you, I appreciate that. And he was able to put together a rough budget estimate. He was hoping to have a more tighter number, but because this is phase 4 now of the streetlight procurement program, they have to renegotiate with their vendors the price for installation and for preparing the streetlights. So they don't have those negotiations complete yet, so they're not able to give us full budget number, we weren't expecting. We were just looking for a budget number. Mr. Fuller will be coming in to this council and presenting the costs and benefits of changing streetlights to the community at either the December or the January meeting. He's still working out his timeline on that. So, hopefully in 2023 we'll have new streetlights, but that is still up for discussion. So the email I shared was just a budget estimate for us to include in the budget purposes, which we talked about earlier in the conversation.
Yeah, that's for liquid fuels. Right?
That's for liquid fuels. Yeah, there is a certain amount of costs that come out of from the general fund, but it's not significant. And also, we missed our opportunity in January because the prices went up. The budget estimate that I've received from Mr. Fuller as compared to the solid costs that we had received in January is higher in the budget estimate. So we should have made an investment earlier, but it is not too late for us to invest in the streetlights. But that is my update on that.
Thank you very much.
Questions, Mr. Sidler?
Sure.
I sent an email asking, this survey is to be free, but I didn't see in the information any additional cost factors such as wiring, additional poles, reflectors. At what point, because I understand there's 3 votes needed to be taken. One was the first study, which is free. The second vote is the engineering study. When will we get a total cost factor, including wiring, reflectors, conduits, any other incidentals, additional poles, additional light heads? When do we get a total overall cost factor?
My understanding is we will get a pretty tight number. Mr. Fuller describes it as almost identical, almost exact when he presents to us. And
That's the $3,000 study that we have to pay for?
that's prior to the study.
Okay. When do we pay the $3,000?
When we wish to move forward with the engineering part of the project.
And then there's a contractual fee for the contractor percentage.
I'm not sure by contractor percentage.
Well, I understand there's 2 fees. There's an administrative fee or the engineering study. And then if we enter into this, there's also a contractor's fee, which was at that time, I believe, 3% or 33.
I think you're referring to the fee to the Delaware Valley Regional Planning Commission.
And the contractor. In the initial proposal, there was 2 fees. One's the engineering fee and one's the fee to the
I think we should defer these questions until Mr. Fuller comes and presents to us.
And he'll be able to look at all the lights to see what additional cost is going to be afforded.
I will let Mr. Fuller tell us what he is including and not including in that proposal and that description. But he tells me it's pretty close to 100%.
Thank you.
But the reason we're having a presentation is to have the presentation.
Super.
Is there a report from the code enforcement officer? Sure, I read that.
I do have a question though under code enforcement.
Yeah.
So my question is, going back to our meeting from last month, where are the receipts for the supplies that were purchased to clean the building during COVID, that we paid $8,000 for? And if there are no receipts, my question was going to be for the code enforcement officer, when will that money be paid back to the borough? I did ask in an email, and the response I got back was, or I think the response to the whole council was, as a citizen, there was nothing to explain. It was a reimbursement for supplies. This was all volunteer work. I cannot explain this any further. So that to me is not a sufficient answer, and I would like to see the receipts for that money. $8,000 is a lot of money for cleaning supplies, and if there were receipts for it, I have no qualms about it.
It would have paid for 2 engineering studies, right?
You're right.
So
So is there any recourse that we have from a current employee and former councilman for money that was spent in a previous budget year?
Take a look at it. I mean,
Can we garnish wages? Can we ask for money back?
So, I mean, look, if we're gonna talk about particular personnel actions, we can do that in executive session.
Okay.
We have to look at it.
All right. Are we moving on? Mr. Powers, Public Works.
Let's see, let's start with the Public Works. First of all, Tamika, can you send a letter to Brookhaven and Borough, asking if we can, once again, piggyback off their road salt program?
Sure.
Hopefully we'll have the Borough dump truck back the week of November 28th. As soon as we get the truck back, we'll start leaf collections right away. We'll collect every day if we have to until the leaves are off the street. The truck is near completion. I talked to them today, and that's the best I could get. Hopefully the week of the 28th. That's it for Public Works. Health inspectors, general progress. The fire marshal report. The fire from last month at Parkside Terrace is not yet closed. The origin of the fire has been determined, but the investigation is not completed. The homeowner went from the burn unit at Crozier to a short hospital stay in Crozier and was released to a nursing home. It's taken some time to track her down. I finally have tracked her down. I have to have permission from the nursing home to conduct the rest of the investigation, and hopefully I'll get that completed and figure out where we're going. There's a little wrinkle in the fire because the homeowner, she is 92 years old. She will never come back to her home again, and she does not have insurance. So there's a long things have to be taken in place now. So with that said, I'll continue to work on it and hopefully have some answers for you by next month. Emergency management, with the help of Chief Murray, I received a letter today from Governor Wolf's office stating that I've been recognized as the emergency management coordinator for the state of Pennsylvania, for the county of Delaware, and for the borough of Parkside. So I now have an official letter from the governor stating those things. Other than that, general progress.
Thank you very much. Ms. Percival, recycling.
Thank you. The regular trash was 92.88 tons, and the recycling was 19.38 tons for the month of October.
Thank you very much. Mr. Swigert, communications.
Our next newsletter should be coming out in December. There will be a meeting for the Communications Committee Tuesday next week, the 22nd, 6:30 here at Borough Hall. Other than that, just general progress.
And you said it's this next Tuesday,
Yeah, it's coming Tuesday.
the one right before Thanksgiving.
Yes,
What's that date again?
22nd.
Okay, thank you. All right, we already did tax collector. It's your turn.
Thank you, Madam President. 2022 road program beacons were ordered on October 13th. Signal permit plans and pedestrian study have been approved, and plans are here tonight for signatures. Contractor has a delivery timeframe for materials of mid to late January. Everything's taking longer these days. Preparation of highway occupancy permit for curb replacement, crosswalk and ADA removal is underway. There's 2 different permits for this project, and one of them is approved. Edgemont Avenue sinkholes, survey's complete. As we've mentioned before, and engineering continues, and there's more to come on that at the end of the report. As far as grants go, Delco Greenways application for West Cole was submitted on October 7th, as mentioned last meeting, and the county's grant award decision should be announced shortly. 2020 Pico Green Region for West Cole. After I contacted the grant administrator, and we have a time extension from December 7th, as it was set to expire, until October 31st of next year. Delco Greenways Mini Pros Planning Project Agreement was signed by the borough and returned to the county on November 4th per their request. Delco Greenlight Go program followed up with PennDOT on the borough's participation acceptance in that program, and Parkside is on the list as a participant. DCNR Special Fall Around Grant. This grant was submitted on October 27th for upgrades to woodlot, parking, and installation of a rain garden, and we are awaiting review and a decision from DCNR. ARPA PA Small Water and Sewer Program application. A resolution to apply for the grant is up for consideration tonight for the Edgemont Avenue Storm Sewer Project. We have two options really to discuss and decide on. First being replacement of the pipe sections in the worst condition, which are causing the sinkholes, and one which is deteriorated in another spot that could potentially cause a sinkhole in the future. Cost estimate is $138,100, with the borough's responsibility estimated at around $20,000 or $21,000 if the grant is awarded. Second option being replacement of the entire storm main from Elbon to Garrison and the connecting pipes from the inlets. Cost estimate is $360,000, with the borough's responsibility estimated at $54,000 if the grant is awarded.
And this is money that we're using the ARPA funds for,
Yes,
right?
that would
The
be-
American Rescue Plan.
Yes, if either one of these options that you choose, if the grant is approved, then the match of 15%, you would use those funds as.
And so we would pay
previously said.
15% instead of 100.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Would you go over those options again, please?
sure. We all know there's some areas of the pipes that are in worse conditions after looking at the video and sent some photos. There's really three sections. Two of them are causing sinkholes. One is deteriorated in much poor shape than the rest of the some of the other sections. So if we're going to go with the lesser scope, the cost estimate would be around $138,000, and we tie into the existing one that's already there and not replace the rest of it. There's a lot of stone in there that would have to be cleaned out, so that's a little bit of an extra scope than if we replaced it. We wouldn't have to spend to clean out all the stone that's in there. But the other option is to basically replace that whole section from Elba down to Garrison, which is about 3 times the cost. But again, if the grant were approved, it would.
Yeah, I think if we get the grant, I think it makes sense to do the whole thing. Because then you don't have to do it in the future, and who knows if we get the grant in the future. But can we wait until we find out if we get the grant to decide that? Or do we have to decide which project we're going with, and then you get the grant?
This resolution requires a cost estimate on the resolution, which I haven't seen in other grants recently, but this one does need a cost estimate on the resolution, so I guess that would have to be.
I don't think that puts us in a position where we have to do that even if we don't get the grant. They don't hold our feet to the fire to make us do it, do they?
No.
All right.
Right.
Oh, okay.
When
Yeah.
is
If
the-
we don't get the grant and we have to pay out of pocket, then we
We can take
we
the
can make the
lesser.
choice that
I
we
see,
want.
I see.
Yes.
When is the grant awarded? Do we have an idea when they're going to award this grant?
Award, the deadline is December 21st. I'm not sure. I mean, all these grants take a different amount of time for the review process. I could definitely check on that. Unfortunately, it's after the decision tonight, so.
What is,
Go ahead.
what is Catania Engineering's professional opinion?
Well, as far as applying for the grant, whether it's the lesser or the higher amount, there may not be a big discrepancy on the odds of
Yeah.
being
Go
awarded.
big.
So, basically go big. Like I said, it might be
Go big.
probably wiser to do that and
Your favorite.
not have to get back in there because PennDOT is repaving the roadway next year, which is why we're trying to get this done quickly. And then if you have to go back in there in 5 to 10 years, you might be on the hook for repaving that section of roadway as well, so.
For the grant's sake, we go big.
Right, we're only
That's
deciding
my
on the grant
Yeah.
application
think
scope at this
differently?
point.
Anybody disagree? Do you have that that for us?
Yes,
You want me to make him read it?
that's the 361.
Be resolved, the Borough of Parkside hereby request a PA Small Water and Sewer Program grant of $360,000 from the Commonwealth Financing Authority to be used for the Edgemont Avenue Storm Sewer improvements. Be it further resolved that the applicant does hereby designate Anna Guy, President, and Tamika Stamus, our Secretary, as the officials to execute all documents and agreements between the Borough of Parkside and the Commonwealth Financing Authority to facilitate and assist in obtaining the requested grant. And then when you're signing this, it'll say, I, Tamika Stamus, duly qualified Secretary of the Borough of Parkside, hereby certify that the foregoing is a true and correct copy of the resolution duly adopted by a majority vote of the Parkside Borough Council at a regular meeting held today, November 16th, 2022. And that said resolution has been recorded in the minutes of the Borough of Parkside and remains in effect as of this date.
How do we find out what our next resolution number is?
585.
That's ordinance.
No, those are ordinances.
Tamika should have the resolution number.
Tamika.
The resolution, 1 second, there was 580.
No, those are ordinances.
No,
Yeah, we need totally different numbering system.
Ordinance, 1 second, let me go check.
The
Yeah.
deadline's not until December 21st,
Yeah, no,
so
all right, you can-
I can talk to you
And I'll
tomorrow.
go research it.
I'll
I'm
make
gonna
it
put that
back.
down. I'll have.
I asked her for the numbers. He's got to get the numbers. Making her work overtime.
All right, well, I just asked how we find out. That's all I asked. All right, I'll entertain.
I'll entertain, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for the 360,000.
60. I'll
Second.
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 Excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Look at us, we're so unanimous.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
And that grant that we were concerned that we had gotten past the due date, did they, while we
Yes,
haven't been
we-
granted the grant, they've still accepted our application, right?
I asked PennDOT to look on the list to see if we are listed as a participant, and we are, so
Okay,
we are,
excellent.
we are good there.
Crisis averted.
We need to bring you up to speed with the CDC, the Community Development Block
Yes.
Grant, which
I
is,
I
did
spoke to
mention that, Tom.
Shirley, but I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we need to pay Damon anything on the road program?
Our meeting was basically the same time they finished up, so we'll be submitting, and we'll have that for December meeting.
Super. And we lucked out with Arlington because Pico had paid half that road.
Yep, so I think we were about $6,000
$6,000.
under on that, so that'll help with the beacons
That's
and
like
possibly for the curb work and crosswalk removal, so.
That's our entire recreation budget that we just sit there, that's nice. Okay, Peter, talk fast.
I will. So I'm here to talk to you. We're gonna have an Act 57 resolution. So you heard earlier in the tax ordinances, we talked about how they don't pay it by a certain time. There's a penalty. That penalty is added to their taxes. And also it doesn't matter whether you got the notice or not. And that's kind of the bedrock part of property tax law, because if you said, well, if you don't get the notice, you don't have to pay the penalty, then guess what? Nobody got the notice, and it's an issue. Now, I think the legislature has recognized that sometimes people don't get the notice, and it is tough to assess that kind of penalty if somebody didn't realize what was going on. So in the last session of the legislature, they passed kind of the first relief in this area, and that is if you buy a home and the tax bill for the year in which you bought the home goes to the previous owner, because that just was the name, and the name of the mail is getting forwarded, and you don't get the tax bill for that year only, the tax collector must waive the penalties. And part of that law then requires us to pass a resolution authorizing Mr. Fisher to waive those additional charges. So I present to you this resolution. A resolution of the Borough of Parkside authorizing the waiver of additional charges for the late payment of real estate taxes in certain circumstances to comply with Act 57 of 2022. Whereas the Borough of Parkside is a taxing district as defined in the local tax collection law, and whereas the borough adopts its annual budget on or before December 31st of each year and issues its real estate tax bills thereafter on or about January 1st of each year. And whereas the real estate tax bills provide for payment by certain dates of either the discount, face, which means what it actually is, or penalty amount, depending on the date on which such payment is made. And whereas Act 57 of 2022 amended the local tax collection law to authorize, in limited and certain circumstances, for the waiver of additional charges and other forms of relief for taxpayers' late payment of the face amount of real estate taxes. And whereas Act 57 of 2022 requires the borough to adopt a resolution to require its real estate tax collector to waive additional charges for real estate taxes subject to a taxpayer's compliance with the requirements of Act 57 of 2022, beginning January 21st, 2023, and each tax year thereafter. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Borough of Parkside as follows. Number one, definitions. In compliance with Act 57 of 2022, the following terms shall be defined as additional charge means any interest, fee, penalty, or charge accruing to and in excess of the face amount of the real estate taxes as provided in real estate tax notice. The tax collector shall mean an elected or appointed tax collector, in our case, Mr. Fisher. Mr. Fisher here. So now here's the key. Qualifying event shall mean either the date of ownership of real estate is transferred, the date that the ownership of a mobile manufactured home is transferred, or the day a lease agreement commences for the original location or relocation of a mobile manufactured home on a parcel of land not owned by the owner of the mobile manufactured home. All right, tax collector compliance. Each tax collector shall waive additional charges for the late payment of real estate taxes for a particular property if a taxpayer does all the following. The taxpayer provides a waiver request of additional charges within 12 months of that qualifying event, right? So the transfer of real estate. The taxpayer attests a real estate tax notice was not received or not received in a timely manner, and the taxpayer provides proof of that property transfer within the previous 12 months, either by a copy of the deed, when you talk about real property transfer, or a copy of the title showing the date of acquisition of the mobile manufactured home. And the taxpayer makes full payment of the face amount of real estate tax bill at the time of the waiver request. There's a form that the taxpayer will use, the standardized form developed by the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development for purposes of submitting the waiver request. And a tax collector who in good faith accepts a waiver request and full payment of face amount shall not be personally liable for any amount due arising from the real estate tax that is subject to the waiver of request. Resolution shall become effective beginning January 1st, 2023, or the date on which the borough's 2023 real estate tax issues are noticed, if earlier, and duly adopted on this date. So we need a motion and a second, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
I make a motion to adopt the resolution for Act 57.
Second.
Questions? You did a great job. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Includes my report.
And that is fantastic. Okay, the next item on our agenda is call to citizens.
No, thank you. I will not drop my phone. At the last meeting, I had the dropsies. Lisa Cuscherell, I'm on East Avon Road. Just a couple of things. I wanted to know, was the special counsel finally able to be hired for the Delcora issue that Ms. Percival had mentioned and we were?
That was gonna be my question.
Oh, okay.
Under old business.
Okay.
Okay,
Then I'll let you guys address that at old.
well, Ms. Tamika has been working very hard
Yeah.
calling attorneys because
Okay.
it turns out a whole bunch of them have conflict of interest. Because if they work for one town,
Yeah,
then they
sure.
don't want to work for us.
Gotcha.
So I actually have had to contact several attorneys. And we are in contact with one attorney. We did send him the information and we're just waiting to get his legal information and everything to move on with the process. So we have an attorney tied down, so hopefully we'll get moving on it.
Just one other thing, just as a citizen, I wanted to just thank everybody who worked at the polls and who made sure that our voices were heard and the election process went as well as it could go and made sure votes were counted. So everybody who worked, you should give yourselves a round of applause, and your residents appreciate that. So your neighbors and residents and fellows in this area appreciate it. And then just last thing, the Parkside Food Drive is this coming Monday. I've been advertising on social media ahead of Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving staples like non-perishables like gravy, stuffing mix, pie filling, that kind of thing, the normal things. Also fresh items like potatoes and squash, apples, green beans, produce in that form. Also, if you have a frozen turkey that you're not going to use, just PM me and I'll be glad to help collect that. I can arrange to pick that up from your house anytime before Thanksgiving, like around before like Wednesday or whatever, and drop off. Although they need a couple.
How can people message you?
They can message me through social media, or they could send me an email, lisa.cocharelle@gmail.com. Lisa period COCCHIARALE @gmail.com. I'm very findable on Messenger on social media. We're also, so this will benefit the food pantry at the Real Church in Brookhaven on Edwards Road. The minister there is a very good guy, Reverend Ben. I like him a lot. Not that that matters, but he's a really, really good community person. They are also doing a mission trip, like a medical trip to El Salvador to aid with some poverty-stricken communities there. And he did provide a list that I posted on social media of some items that they need, such as multivitamins for adults and kids, things like that, Advil, ibuprofen, basic first aid things, bandages, Band-Aids, antibiotic creams, that kind of stuff. It's on social media. I've been sharing that, but toothbrushes, basic hygiene things. So, but whatever, if you feel moved to donate, let me know. And it's very easy. We just pick it up from your door on Monday morning. So you leave it out and you let me know. But you have to let me know because I can't hit every house and I don't know who's, Thank you.
Andrew Sark, 142 East Rolling Road. Just two questions. Our liquid tax fuel, we pave our roads with that. If we get this lighting thing that Scott was looking at, will that hurt our budget there to pave our roads next year?
I am advocating that we forego a road program for 1 year and do a streetlight program instead for that year. That being said,
Go ahead.
the streetlights is about 35,000 or so. The road programs are generally 50. So it would be a smaller program than a road program to do streetlights. Again, we don't have final numbers on cost yet, but
And there are ways we could finance it.
There are-
We could do road programs and do the streetlights and pay for it over a longer time.
Is there a road that you're concerned about?
No, because everything comes with money. We're going to raise taxes next year. So if we use that program to pave our roads and we're going to do lighting, do we have enough in the budget to do both, or do we have to cut
There
somewhere
are.
or curtail somewhere? Like he said, we may have to do something over a long time. But if we do it over a long time, do any of them expenses hurt us more? Do we have to pay something extra?
Well, you'd be paying interest on the loan.
See,
so-
that's what I'm saying. Why should we do that?
Right.
Okay.
I'm not saying that we should do that, but I'm just saying that.
This
we-
will actually be the first year that we don't take a loan. We've taken a loan every other year for $100,000.
No,
get
no, we're
us
talking about for the street light.
For
just
the streets, oh, that's liquid fuels, you're right.
Yeah, but the repayment of the streetlights would come from the savings. So our electric bill, right now, we pay $17,500 a year for the electricity for the streetlights.
Okay.
That $17,500 may become $10,000 or $8,000. Mr. Fuller will give us a pretty good number of what that bill will be. So let's just use my number of 10,000. We save $7,000 a year in streetlight. If we bought the streetlights out without doing a loan program, we would save $7,000 in electricity costs, and then every year after, the road program could be $7,000 larger. So even though we forego the road program for 1 year, we would have a larger road programs in the future because our $17,500 electricity bill will be lower, giving us more money for other uses in the liquid fuels budget, the primary which expense is the road program.
Okay.
But the gentleman did say it's a 9-year turnaround time to regain your money.
If you did the loan.
We're really having a conversation that's before we should be having the conversation.
Okay.
But your overall question is will we be able to do both? I am advocating that we should highly consider either foregoing or diminishing the road program in 2023 in favor of a street lighting program for just this 1 year only. And then, it's 20 years till we need to do 15 years till we need to do the streetlights again. So it's just it's a 1 year delay, and it's providing different infrastructure with the same dollars.
Okay. The only other question I have is for the commissioner of the commission. We're going to hire a lawyer. Is that money taken into our budget next year?
Yep.
It always has been. It's already
Well,
done.
that was
Yeah.
added with some additional legal money was added with also the Delcora solicitor that we're going to
Okay.
use. That was also incorporated into the budget.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've asked for 2 special counsel next year.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, real quick, Matt Saunders, 62 East Shelton Road. For Mr. Powers, and pardon me, Madam President, Mr. Powers, for the leaf pickup, I know you said we're waiting to get the truck bed back, but once that comes back, will you be advertising what side of the avenue you'll be picking up?
We'll just put it probably, since we're so far behind April, just put a blanket statement out there that the truck is back, break your leaves to the curb, we'll come get them. If we have to be out there every day, we'll come get them.
Cool.
There's no time to put schedules together at this point. They got to get out.
I was just curious, but I appreciate your frankness. Thank you.
So, we hope that truck comes back.
Before it snows.
Before it snows.
Oh, my God.
Well, especially then, yeah.
Hi, my name is Bob Lofthouse. I live 117 West Garrison. I noticed there's a couple of sinkholes. One on Upland and Upland and Tom Sweeney on the left-hand corner of the drain. There's a metal plate there, been sitting there for a month and a half. Does the engineer know anything about that?
I was not aware of that one.
No? All right.
I am aware of that. That is actually the property of Brookhaven. We keep going back and forth, like there's, apparently Brookhaven is stating that it belongs to us, and then when we go back, they say it belongs to them. So at this point, when we looked at the county records, it is a Brookhaven street and corner.
Nah, that's been a Parkside
Are you talking
for a long time.
where the break is, where the crosswalk is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, that's Parkside, but
Is
it
that
was damaged,
Parkside?
but it was damaged by Pico contractors that were working on the island across the street. They drove the backhoe over top of that grate and cracked the grate in there. That's where it's falling.
They got a hole in it.
Well, no, there's a grate over top of it.
The road has got a cave in it.
I don't know about that, but I know there's a plate over it.
All right.
Until we get it
East
hatched.
Avon, on West Avon, you got a sinkhole starting near the manhole cover.
Where's that? This is West Avon.
West Avon.
West Avon. I'm not aware of that.
When you make the turn from, like you're going down to the firehouse, it's right in the middle of the street there. Somebody painted it green. So I don't know if Delcor knows about it or what, but there's, the hole's getting bigger.
I'm not aware of that. I'll look at it.
And be advised, winter's coming along, the blacktop plant be closed, so I don't know how long you're gonna keep the avenue put on hold. Because they're gonna do some paving starting spring. When they reopen the paver, blacktop plant back up again. So, I suggest take the advice from the engineer. If needed, get the whole thing done.
You find out which one, let me know. That else we'll have to discuss.
Thank you.
Because we don't pay for blacktop here in the borough, so I'll let you know. I'll check it out.
That's it.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next is old business. Is there any old business? Woo-hoo. Is there any new business?
Go ahead, you go first. No, mine's simple. Candy Cane Day is December 15th. I'm sorry, December 17th from 5 to 8 p.m.
That's when the fire truck will be
Yeah.
coming out with Santa Claus?
Yes.
What day is it?
It's December 17th, 5 to 8 p.m.
I wish my kids were small. And Perry.
I'm gonna kind of piggyback and kind of undercut Lisa on her food donations. But the good thing is our scout, the local scout troop has moved and we are affiliated with the real church, so we're.
Oh, there you go.
So, it's going the same thing. The only thing is, this Saturday is, Troop 493 Scouting for Food program. We will be coming around. We flyered most of the town, ran out of flyers, sorry. But we will be coming around starting at, if you could, put any donations out at 9:00. Between 9 and 12, we'll come around. We also are collecting, if you are going to the Brookhaven Holiday Parade, we collect during the holiday parade as well. Unlike Lisa's collection, we only collect non-perishables. So if you have any turkeys or produce or anything like that, contact Lisa for a Monday pickup. If you got canned goods, anything like that, leave it on your doorstep. Scouts will pick it up on Saturday at 9. So.
Right at 9. Exactly at 9, every house.
No, not exactly at 9. But that prevents me from having to drive around the neighborhood 3 times during the course of the day because I keep getting messages, nobody came by. Well, I was there at 10 and you still didn't have it out. So.
Is there anything else? We're about to have our shortest meeting ever? Nope. Okay.
Nope. My question would be, with the right to knows, I don't know if Ms. Tamika is comfortable yet to handle everyday non-legal right to knows. If so, that would cut back on the solicitor's expenses if it was a simple, non-legal matter. And I'd like to know how council feels about that and how Ms. Tamika feels about that.
So if I could hop in really quick, we have a consistent right to know requester who on approximately the 13th of every month makes the same request. And on the 14th of every month, we issue the same response.
Yes.
So I think Councilwoman Percival, not trying to speak for you, but it would be situations like that where it's pretty template answers and it doesn't require any particular review, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Tamika is new. She, has been learning and getting more comfortable, and she's very much growing into her role. So I feel comfortable with that.
And
And I
I
feel
think,
comfortable with that.
and a template could be given to you by our solicitors.
I can hand it
And
to
if it's something that needs their expertise, then you shift it over. But I think the everyday things would cut down on the expense for our solicitors and their time.
Absolutely.
Who cares about that?
Sure.
We don't want to pay them money.
Sure they do.
Okay, I think that's it, right? Anybody?
Motion to adjourn.
I will accept that motion, and all in favor?
Aye.
Get out of here.